down my vote!
You heard the rest. Now here's the best. Stay Tuned Sports Podcast.
And hello there, all you Stay Tuners. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Tuned Sports. And welcome to NFL Draft Eve. Well, I mean, it's Wednesday now, so by the time you guys listen to this, it'll be actually NFL Draft Day. So, but either way, with no sports pretty much going on for the past couple months, at least we have some sense of sports coming up with the NFL Draft, even though I have a feeling it's going to be a total shit show with this virtual drafting thing. But before we get into the show itself, head over to Twitter. Follow us there at ST Sports Podcast, as well as our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. All the videos are updated on the YouTube channel as far as past episodes and things like that. And also, this past week, I unveiled a new Teespring t-shirt in honor of the Stay Tuned Sports iRacing car. When you head over to our Twitter account, the pinned tweet is actually our Teespring store. So we have a couple of shirts there, plus the new iRacing car, which is drove by Scott Crump. And little update of this past week's race. I mean, I was just sick to my stomach for him. 175 laps. He led 109 of them, and I mean, just total dominated the race itself. At one point, he was actually up like 4 or 5 seconds on the second place car. And with about 30 or so laps left in the race, a lap car took him out. But I will give him a lot of respect, a lot of credit. He stuck it out to end the race out there on the track. Even with the bad damage to the car, he still ended in, I believe, 9th or 10th place, which, you know, the way the front of the car looked, kudos to him. Hell of a job, Scott. Next week, definitely think you'll get them. So, but, and as far as NASCAR iRacing, no drama this week. No rage quitting or racial slurs being dropped, you know, so that's good for them, you know. No news is good news, as they always say. But I wanted to start off, you know, this past weekend, I should say, this past Sunday, The Last Dance was aired, the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls documentary of that dynasty and everything. And I mean, on one hand, probably because there's no sports, everybody wanted to tune in to watch it, and it was one of the highest viewed TV shows in the past few months, past couple of years, whatever. I didn't get to watch it Sunday night because obviously I had work the next day, but I got to watch the first 2 episodes these past couple days, and I'll tell you what, there was a lot of things in there I didn't know about. Growing up as a kid, I wasn't basketball. You know, obviously Michael Jordan was my idol. Chicago Bulls were one of my first teams to really like and follow and root them on because, you know yourself, you know, when you're a kid, you always want to root for the winner. But watching like the old clips of Jordan when he was with the Bulls and going with this, you know, who's the GOAT of the NBA, Jordan or LeBron or Kobe. You watch these videos and I understand, you know, it's different era, different time, different rules, you know, like all the excuses. Jordan was just so much quicker and just embarrassed people with the moves he did. And even taking over a game with a bunch of average guys. I mean, okay, yes, you know, when they were winning the championships, they had Dennis Rodman, they had Scottie Pippen, Steve Kerr. But when he first came into the league, he didn't have those guys. Pippen didn't come till about 3 years after Jordan. Dennis Rodman got signed by the Bulls a few years into Jordan's career. Jordan had, I believe, the only person he had was Charles Oakley, his rookie year. And coming from Jordan's mouth, basically it sounded like the team culture just was, we're in the NBA. We're okay with that. We don't care if we win the championships or anything. And I don't mean to spoil anything because it is a really good documentary so far after 2 episodes. But he just takes it over. Takes a game over, drops 49, 50, and they lose scoring 100 points. Now, and I've said this plenty of times, I'm not saying LeBron sucks or anything like that. But if you look at when LeBron went to Miami, he always had people around him. Other than the first time he was in Cleveland, he always had people around him that helped get him to those championship games and the finals. When Scottie Pippen was out, his, I believe, the second year of Jordan's career, or I'm sorry, third year of his career, he broke his foot. When he came back, they put him on a time restraint. He only could play 14 minutes a game, and the Bulls had a chance to put themselves in a playoff spot. But Jerry Krause always told the coach, don't play him a second over 14 minutes or else you're fired. And the one game that the Bulls were playing, Jordan's time was up and they were down by 2 points. Kept pleading with the coach to put me in, and kept saying, coach kept saying, I can't do it. I'll be fired. So that's when Jordan realized, I got to make the best of my 14 minutes. Following game, he made the best. He just went off, put the Bulls in a place to make the playoffs, going up against the Boston Celtics. And even though they lost that series, just took the game over because he knew he didn't have anybody else to really rely on, like a Scottie Pippen or Steve Kerr, something like that. And then even the Scottie Pippen story about how that relationship with Jerry Krause was. But I mean, 2 episodes into it just shows how much of a dick Jerry Krause was. His relationship with Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen, even with Jordan. And, if you guys haven't seen it yet, I'm going to stop talking about it because I probably already spoiled some of it. You gotta check it out. It's really good, really interesting. And I'll probably give like a little recap each week because every Sunday at 9 is when it will be airing, and it'll be 2 episodes a weekend, 2 episodes every Sunday. So I'll probably like do a recap or something like that. So I'm just letting you guys know now. You'll have roughly about 2-3 days after it airs. So I'm not really spoiling it day of. So a little MMA talk. Talked last week that Dana White came out and said May 9th will be the next UFC event, even though UFC itself postponed all events through May 31st or whatever, which I just didn't understand because May 9th is before May 31st. But came out Tuesday that UFC 249 will be taking place May 9th, and according to multiple people with knowledge of the promotion's plans, it will be taking place in Florida, which, if anyone hasn't been watching the news, the Florida governor is deeming sports essential businesses. So now they're going to be able to play. No fans, but I know the Florida governor is trying to get some of the NASCAR races to get going down there. Is offering some baseball sites down there to get the Major League Baseball season going. But as far as UFC 249, the only question right now is we are not sure if it will be the same card as April 18th when they were going to have that at the Takashi Casino Resort, whatever that resort was called. Now, difference between this time and last time, and this is, I'm curious to see how this is going to go down. Last time, the governor of California came out and was pleading with UFC to not go ahead with this event on April 18th, and begged, and then a day or two later is when Dana White came out and said that the highest you can go in Disney and the highest you could go on ESPN, the higher ups asked him to stand down. Now, the difference here is the Florida governor is saying, hey, yeah, you can hold it here. Let's go. Come on. He wants it. Now, what does ESPN and Disney do? Do they ask Dana White to stand down again? Or do they allow it? Which, if that happens, to me, that just shows that they let the governor of California or Nevada, wherever the casino resort is, I forget exactly where it was, influence their decision. Like, it's a PR stunt, basically. The April 18th one was more of a, let's say, face type here. We're the good guys, we're going along with the rules type thing. I still believe that UFC should postpone all events until we get this whole virus thing under control. I mean, PFL League just came out and said they are postponing the whole year, and they'll be back next year, 2021, with their seasons. Bellator is postponing everything until basically this gets cleared up. I just, UFC, out of all the leagues, all the MMA leagues, is the biggest one out there. They're not losing money. I mean, people are still buying fight passes. If you go on Twitter, you see a lot of people saying, hey, did you guys remember, UFC 35 with this fight happened and how this outcome? Or, oh my God, did you see this submission on UFC 205? So they're still making their money off of the fight pass. So it's not like they're losing money. They're just not making as much money. And, I understand that they do want to be the first sports promotion or league to come out of this virus as the first one to hold a event. But you're putting people's lives at stake. I don't care how much you test them before the match or after the match. They're going to be sweating. There's going to be blood. There's going to be, there's no social distancing once you're inside that octagon. And then they're going to go home to their family. And it's not like you see right off the bat the symptoms. It takes a couple days. Which, in between those couple days there, you could have passed it on already and not even known it. Now, do I want to see a fight on May 9th? Well, yeah, because we all want to see some sports. But I'd rather give up a little bit of time now to make sure we have the longevity after this virus is over, compared to, Let's have a fight now so that we get put behind 5-6 months because of this virus. And then you're not going to have fights for 5-6 months. So this one, unfortunately, I think is still going to go on. I don't think Disney and the ESPN is going to step in on this one just because the governor of Florida wants to hold it here. But if they do step in, again, I don't see how Dana White could come back from this, because this will be back-to-back shows that you promised to happen and you got shut down. So now, I mean, everybody's seen Daniel Cormier said that he wouldn't mind being the UFC president. So I don't know if he may be being groomed or something like that. And I don't know if he'd be a good president, but I mean, the one thing I do like about Dana White is it's showing he don't care. I mean, he cares, but he doesn't care about what we all think about him, and that's fine. That's good. But you gotta have a little bit of common sense. You gotta have a little bit of smarts here. And right now, I don't think he's really showing it. Kind of speaking about the virus here. Last week we talked about XFL filing for bankruptcy and due to the coronavirus. Well, XFL is a little bit under the gun even more now, because the former commissioner of the XFL, Oliver Luck, is suing Vince McMahon now for wrongful termination. What Oliver Luck is saying is basically he is owed the money that he was guaranteed when he signed to become the commissioner in May of 2018. He signed a 5-year deal between $20 and $25 million, and the contract also stipulated that he be due the remaining balance if terminated without cause. Now, let's not forget, when XFL filed for bankruptcy, there was only a handful of names and companies that were named in the bankruptcy, and Oliver Luck's name was not on that list, which was quite surprising because there was head coaches on that list that are owed money. Bob Stoops, I think, was one of them. Jim Zorn probably was another. So I think Oliver Luck may have a good case here. Don't know if he's going to get the full money he's asking for, but I'm sure they would agree to a settlement. But I just thought it was funny that he wasn't on that list. But hopefully they can sort this out so the XFL could get bought by the NFL. You guys know I've been really pushing for that. Hopefully have the NFL buy them to turn into a developmental league. And talk about segues, man. I'm really lining them up here. Since Vince McMahon was just brought up, and I'm pretty sure everybody's seen about this, Rob Gronkowski has come out of retirement and was traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past week. Now, before I get into the whole, what was all brought in, what was all traded and everything like that, I am curious, how is this going to affect his WWE career? I mean, he's the 24/7 champion right now. Is R-Truth going to, pin him in the end zone when he's warming up or he scores a touchdown? If that happens, NFL is just took how much of a joke they are now. They'll take it to another level if they allow that to happen. Now, nothing was said about Tampa Bay, writing in Gronkowski's contract stating that he can't do wrestling during this season, which I know WWE won't allow that with him having a championship. I mean, geez, we saw how they were with Brock Lesnar when he was bouncing between WWE and UFC. Those two companies had to negotiate it. You know damn well Tampa Bay to negotiate with WWE. So the trade agreement here is New England's going to receive a 4th round pick in this year's draft. Buccaneers get Gronk plus a 7th round draft pick. This whole thing is just hilarious. Gronk basically came out and said, Tampa Bay is the only team I want to play for. I want to play with Tom Brady. Tom Brady actually was one of the key contributors to help get this trade going. And this just brings up the question, did Gronk retire because of Belichick? And I mean, it says it screams it. Another story just came out earlier today, I believe it was, that Gronk said that he blocked a trade to the Lions 2 years ago, which then he went on to win the Super Bowl, retired, and then came out this past week that he wanted to play. Now, like I said, why would he unretire to play in New England? The cold, it's not boring up there, but it's a lot boring up there compared to Tampa Bay. Now, the one question that I bring up to you guys, who got the better of the trade? I mean, New England got a 4th round pick. Tampa Bay got one of the best tight ends ever to play football. Yes, I didn't say he's the best tight end ever. I still think there's one or two other tight ends above him, like Tony Gonzalez. I still think Tony Gonzalez is the best tight end ever to play in the NFL. If I had to choose between the two teams, who got the better of the trade, I would have to say New England. I mean, they got a 4th round pick for a guy that said, if I'm not going to play for you, I'll stay retired. So they got something for a guy that was just going to sit out the rest of his life. And a 4th round pick. It's not like a 6th or 7th round pick where you're going to be drafting practice squad guys. 4th round pick, you could get, a 2nd or a 3rd wide receiver or a 2nd tight end. The other question I bring up to you guys is, and with this trade, it helped Tampa Bay's odds to win the Super Bowl. Do they win the Super Bowl now? I don't think so. My personal opinion is I don't think so, because we've seen it with the Browns. We've seen it with my Eagles. When you put all these big names together, they don't really work out. They're average. Now, if you're saying to me, what big names? Well, obviously Tom Brady and Gronk, okay? Then you got Mike Evans, you got Goodwin, you got O.J. Howard, who is probably going to get traded within 24 hours, probably get traded during this draft. You got 4 or 5, quote, personalities. Now, they might not be as flamboyant as, Beckham Jr., or Jarvis Landry, or Baker Mayfield. Philly with the Dream Team, you had Vince Young, you had Javon Curse, you had, big free agent names that Philly signed that year. And what do? We went average. I still think Tampa Bay will make the playoffs because it's Brady. And I'm curious to see how Bruce Arians uses Gronk because he doesn't really use tight ends too much. But I don't think they win a playoff game this year. I think they make the playoffs and that's it. Which then, I was talking to our good friend King. I think swings the pendulum back to Bill Belichick about, the question that's always asked. Did Bill Belichick make Tom Brady or did Tom Brady make Bill Belichick? And if the Patriots make the playoffs and win a playoff game with basically just Julian Edelman and Tampa Bay loses in the first round of the playoffs, you got to say Bill Belichick coaching made Tom Brady. Not saying Tom Brady's not a great quarterback because he is one of the best ever to play the position, maybe top 3. But this year will tell exactly how great Tom Brady is. You have all these weapons now. The most weapons you have ever had in New England was Randy Moss, and I can't remember if Gronk was there yet or if it was Ben Watson, their tight end, because they love tight ends in New England. In Tampa Bay, you have 3 top-rated weapons to throw to. I don't think they get out of the first round. I'm curious to see what you guys say. So how about head over to Twitter, ST Sports Podcast, and let me know what you guys think as far as Tampa Bay and how well they will do this year. So before we go, obviously we got to talk a little draft talk here. Draft is tomorrow night, Thursday night, Friday and Saturday. It's going to be held virtually, basically like a fantasy football. And there's still a little bit of concerns about internet connection issues and things of that nature. I'm off Friday, so I'm going to try to stay up and watch this. But I have a feeling this thing is going to be like 6-7 hours long just for a first round. Because one of the rules, they said if there's a trade in the works, real close to being done, they're going to pause the clock. So that way teams cannot jump teams because a team ran out of time or something like that. Now, as far as my Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, wide receivers their biggest. I think their biggest need they need. With us picking up Darius Slay, I think helped the cornerback position. I don't think it shorted it up all the way. I think they would need one more cornerback. I still think Avonte Maddox is going to be the number 2 guy. I think he wins that over Sidney Jones. I lost pretty much all confidence in Sidney Jones, which is sad for me because coming out of college, I was actually excited for him when we drafted him. We knew he wasn't going to play his rookie year because of his injury at his pro day. I gave him a pass on his second year in the league because it's his first full year in the league coming off an injury. Third year, listen, you got no excuses. Couldn't stay healthy, couldn't stay on the field, couldn't get on the field. So I don't think he's going to be a starter. Jalen Mills drops back to a safety. Other than wide receiver and cornerback, I would like to see us take a linebacker in the second or third round. I wouldn't mind seeing another running back that we could put with Boston Scott and Miles. But I have a feeling, I've been seeing a lot of Eagles fans saying that we got to trade up into the top 12 to 15 spot to take one of the top 4 wide receivers. But I'm telling you guys, if we could get Chase Claypool from Notre Dame at 21, it's going to be a steal. He's a big body. He makes big time catches, unlike Alshon Jeffrey dropping it against the Saints this past playoff. Very rarely gets hurt. I think he would be a good pickup. Now, I've seen Alshon Jeffrey obviously is one of the players that is rumored to being on the trading block for this draft. Rasul Douglas is another one, which I'd rather trade Sidney Jones over Rasul Douglas, but the way Douglas has been playing around with his Twitter account, 2 fingers up in the air, see is on the other side, even though supposedly that's like a quote from a Drake song or something like that. I think Alshon Jeffrey is going to be gone, even if it's for a pick for next year. I think Douglas is going to be gone, because if we trade Douglas will only get traded, I believe, if we draft a corner first. Because right now we have Avonte Maddox, Slay, Douglas, Jones as our corners. So they're my Philadelphia Eagles players that I think will get traded, and also the positions that are a need. And I think this year we need to draft for a need compared to their normal phrase of taking best player available. We don't need an offensive lineman. I still have faith in Dillard to be our left tackle. JJ, I still have confidence in. You can't say he's a bust. It's 1 year. And we had a wide receiver coach that didn't know how to coach, offensive coordinator that didn't know how to call plays. So I just think we used JJ the wrong way. So I think that's going to be it for us this week. We'll be back next week. We'll definitely recapping the NFL draft and any other news that has come up through the week. So before we go, head over to Twitter, follow us there at ST Sports Podcast, as well as our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. When you're on Twitter, click our Teespring account link, head over there, buy our Stay Tuned Sports iRacing car t-shirt. Different types of t-shirts you could get it on, as well as there's 2 or 3 other styles of Stay Tuned Sports merchandise there as well. So until next week, it's your good friend Jimbo signing out.